Hello traders and welcome to another weekly Forex forecast. What a week we've had. From one side, there is a ceasefire announced right before the weekend for 2 weeks. That looked very promising and the markets were soaring to the upside. However, what happens today actually, that negotiations reached some nowhere and there is clearly there is no agreement between the sides from the negotiations happening in Pakistan, and that led Trump to announce on a blockade right on the Hormuz. So what will happen? The prices of the oil will skyrocket again. Will that put more pressure on the market? Add that to the fact that, let's take a look on the screen, add that to the fact that the last Friday we saw the CPI read 3.3% on the annual rate, while the monthly was 0.9 increase. So the pressure starts to be felt very well, and the inflation is here for real. This week we could expect the PPI, another important factor of the inflation, to pay attention to, and then it's pretty quiet until Wednesday. We have the job market, employment and unemployment rate in Australia, GDP in Britain on Thursday, and that's what expected for this week. So with everything happening, what are the opportunities we have on the market? So the first one I would be looking at this week would be the euro dollar, which is approaching some key zone here and here, and I will explain why these are so important. So a big range at that zone, right, with some little gap, we still carry on from end of February and March, beginning of March, and this zone here, with the fact that the MACD starts to slow down, put some pressure, bearish divergence developing at the end of its waves, that could lead the euro dollar to be traded to the downside this week, or at least at the beginning of it. Pound dollar, I think this one is similar to the euro. We have a support that was broken and now acts as the resistance, high that acts as supply at this mini range before sellers pushed. That all together with the slowing down MACD and condition puts the pressure, and I believe the pound dollar should be facing to the downside from here. And if these levels don't hold, the next one are not too much further, another support that acts as a resistance through the high that acts as supply. So from my point of view, these are key levels that should hold, and the sellers should step in on the pound dollar. And what does all the recent events mean to the Bitcoin? So my view on the Bitcoin did not change. We've been talking about it here for a while. I still think that the Bitcoin should drop down to make one more low. Is that the time it's gonna happen? We will see. However, the pressure is serious, and as long as this zone here, look at that, broken support acts as resistance, range before sellers took control. So as long as this area holds, from my point of view, Bitcoin is under bearish pressure, and you can see that on the 4-hour chart. It is also failed to break this supply zone. There is a pretty nice divergence here in the making. So as long as it holds, I believe the pressure of the Bitcoin is bearish. And what about yen pairs? So from one side on the yen pairs, dollar yen especially, there is already developing divergence here. From the other side, the ideal case in such scenarios on the market is that the market is trying to clean through the high before the sellers took the control. So that makes me think that the dollar yen is actually still due to complete the final push of these waves, 1, 2, 3, and one more here. And then we will be looking for this condition, 3 waves to the upside on the daily chart, and a bearish divergence to kick in also on the daily chart together with the weekly. And then if that happens, we have a dynamic resistance going here. We have the divergence on all the time frames we just discussed. Once it kicks in together, that should be afterwards a fantastic opportunity for the sell. On the shorter term, I believe the bullish pressure is still here and still will take the prices to possibly next highs. So this is the, I would say, maybe nice, interesting opportunities for the beginning of the week. What do you think about them? What do you think about the market? What do you think will happen with all the recent events politically and geopolitically happening around the world? Let us know in the comments. If you are new to this channel, make sure you subscribe to have more trading insights, more trading opportunities, and great trading tips. Thanks for your time watching. I wish you good trading and good week ahead. Bye for now.